to a show.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Net Podcast. And this week on the podcast, I would like to welcome another podcaster. Actually, I love having other podcasters on. I'd like to learn their ways, and also a grappler. So we're going to combine those worlds. And I was a guest on their podcast, upcoming, actually, and kind of a similar feel here. So I would like to welcome to the podcast host of the Jiu-Jitsu Lou Podcast, Lou Temlett. Yeah, got it?
Yep,
yeah?
That's it. You got it.
I said words right. So thank you for doing this, Lou, and thank you also for having me on your podcast as well. I really appreciate it. I think mine's going to come up before yours. So I'm saying it as if it's past tense because we've already recorded it. but thank you all the same. And thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
So I really want to, I guess, kind of go over your jiu-jitsu story, your jiu-jitsu journey, and then kind of steer into the podcast and realm as well. But first, I'd like to know for you, like, what got you onto the mats in the first place?
Well, I met a very good friend, became a very good friend because of my tech podcast. So he had come onto my show. I was kind of involved in tech, and he wasn't really talking about jiu-jitsu, but we made the connection through business channels. And he said, my club's doing a ladies only month train for free. Why don't you and the kids come along? So we did. I had no idea what martial arts was. And I think I've mentioned this before on my show, but my mother sadly passed away over 10 years ago. And she used to love watching Jackie Chan movies. I had absolutely zero interest in anything martial arts. That just wasn't my thing. So I kind of feel like I'm paying homage to my mother. I first night training, I've got two young kids and they did the kids class first. So I was trying to encourage them, going, I don't know what this is, but this is your start of your journey as well. Then I had to put on this great big jacket, great big pair of gi pants that were obviously from the pile at the back of the gym. And it kind of went from there, really.
Cool. So did you have like any like sports background, like do any sports growing up or anything? So you just came in?
Yeah, I'm always, so there's always been lots of different dimensions of activity in my life, from being a very young child, taking part in all the school sports. I didn't think I'd be mentioning my mum this much, but she used to help out with the school and used to make rosettes, little rewards and things for sports days, when sports days were first, second, third, and kind of general prize. Anyway, she used to make these ribbons and the kind of rosettes that were very beautiful in all the different colours, and for all those prizes. So I was always involved. I remember running. This is a kind of early primary school gymnastics, and I actually pulled out a book from my childhood, that I was born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s, and I remember going to a book sale. They have regularly at schools where you can go and choose a book or whatever. Obviously I had to, ask my parents for the money for the book, but I remember picking up this beautifully framed yellow book about how to become a gymnast. And I always just used to love kind of prancing around and moving and dancing, to the point where my mother and father did send me to dance school from the age of 3. So always been very physical, very active. And then kind of going through education, always involved in the hockey, netball teams, after school activities. whatever was available, I'd have a little go.
Okay. That's really cool. I love hearing when I think both sides, when you get somebody that comes in with like never done any sports or anything, and then also when you have someone with an athletic background, because it was like, what carries over, if anything carries over from, previous training in other sports, just kind of a mindset, things like that too. So it's always interesting to see, that aspect of a journey.
Yeah. I love the fact that you mentioned athletic. I wouldn't necessarily call me athletic, but I'll have a go.
Yeah, look, if you're out there, it counts. I say, I grew up as like, I didn't know I was an athlete. I was just that kid. I did things and like, oh, he runs really fast. He's really strong. And I didn't know these things.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you're an athlete. And I was like, what is that? I don't know how to play sports. And then one day they're like, here, hold this football and run.
Yeah.
What?
I think it comes so naturally because we're kind of embedded in activity at a young age. It just becomes normalized and you go, well, I just do that. Hence for me getting involved in all lots of different things. But I also remember my secondary school, my senior school had a weights gym. So I started lifting weights when I was 13, and which I absolutely loved. I loved feeling stronger. I remember me and the other kids, probably younger years, when you kind of, have your biceps and you kind of show off your muscles and there's no muscle, clearly. But I was like, I want some muscle.
Yeah, that's another one of those things too, with like lifting weights. You see kids growing up. I think my wife's godson, I think she says he's like really into lifting weights. I believe he's 14, maybe 13, one of those numbers. It's like he's really into weightlifting now. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's that period now where you start your body's changing. You're seeing your friends do the things and like, you're like, hey, I want some of those muscles too. How do I get them?
Yeah. I think it's very much about wanting to, I don't know, change our bodies in some way. And if we can do it via exercise or lifting weights, just to see that change, because everything feels quite samey when you're growing up, I think.
Mm-hmm. I have a buddy, he was just over here last night. He was talking about it. He's trying to get down to 10% body fat, and he's eating a certain way, he's lifting and he's moving and doing certain things. I, on the other hand, I'm not worried about my I have no interest in getting to 10%. I'm happy if I can, I think I'm at 18 or something, maybe 20, one of those numbers. And I think whenever I look at the thing, they're like, wow, guy. It's like, whoa, you got to say it like that. But like if we can make those changes to our body, naturally, especially, just through our activity, that's always a big plus. So when we're kids and we're active, we're moving and we're like, oh, they're weights. We can lift these heavy things and start like making those changes. It's always I think a good thing, for the future, front loading or back loading, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think I'm quite competitive. So I wasn't just going into the weights gym at lunchtime. I was going into the weights gym at lunchtime going, can I lift a little bit heavier? Can I do more and more and more? And my leg strength became very kind of, good. So that there was the start of that competitive nature.
Cool. So, I mean, I guess in, carrying on to jiu-jitsu, that just ramped it up as well for you. So that's good. Because again, you run into folks, they come in, like you get someone that comes onto the mats and like, I'm just here to train. I don't want to compete. I don't want to do nothing. But sometimes something clicks for them.
Yeah.
Like they're testing themselves and it's like, ooh, I can do this here. What else can I do? Like, and then so some folks come in without, that, but then if you come in and you're a competitive person, it just adds to it.
Or it just adds to the expense.
All of that too. I try to use that as my excuse as to why I don't compete. Like, man, it's expensive, man. I got action figures to buy. I can't be out there. It's like, well, you can like help out at the the competition. I'll let you do it for free. Oh, nah, I mean, nah. Like who? Like, I don't want to be a burden. I mess up things. Like I might knock over the table. Sorry. So along, the way early on in jiu-jitsu for you,
Yeah.
the like was it like an immediate thing that clicked that you're like, ooh, I'm really doing this, I'm gonna stick with it? Or was there a bit of a lull along the way? It was like you're doing it and it was like,
Okay,
it didn't click.
so I guess when I start something, I'm more of a completer finisher. So I kind of had it's like I started doing this thing, me and the kids have something to talk about, and we're all doing an activity together. So it kind of feels like something really great to share as a family. They seem to like it. They got in, they didn't necessarily like the first class. I remember my son going, "Don't make me do this, mum. I hate you." And me going, "God, just have a go." Anyway, after 2 or 3 sessions, he absolutely loved it. So we've all been training now for about 4 years. But the beginning part of the journey, I was just going through the motions. But I remember pulling guard, not really knowing what pulling guard was. And I just fell on my backside. So it hurt a lot. And I was like, why am I doing this? It hurts, but because I'm making silly mistakes. And I don't really like making mistakes. So I kind of kept learning. And the kind of schedule for the classes worked really well. So the kids had their class. They were able to kind of sit out where I then did my fundamentals, and then later down a few stripes, I could then do more advanced classes and then a bit of sparring. So the format worked well for our family. A couple of times a week, open mats at the weekend. Just felt like a good thing to do. And any parents out there that get their kids home from school and then don't know what to do with them, because when they're young, you go, how many hours until bedtime? How can I fill this time and space before they have to go to bed? So me being quite a proactive parent, I was like, okay, let's go and do something together and just get ourselves out. And now the summer's coming in the UK. It's a really great thing to be able to do and share. Not necessarily outdoors. I mean, the journey's on the outdoors, but sharing something together.
Well, it's good. It's nice to have that connect there, the family connect for it, because
Yeah.
You can run into those scenarios where just the kid trains, and then it's just the parents just a transportation, or vice
Yeah.
versa. The parent trains and the kid doesn't train, and the kid might have interest but not enough interest to really want to step in. But when you connect the two, I think that's always a very nice just connector for everybody, because you have if you're working on something, you see like especially at competitions, we've had parents at competitions who don't train and they're yelling things from the sidelines at the kids, and it's like, that's not actually correct. Hey, let us coach.
Yeah.
Like, you just chill. But but when you're a parent that trains,
Yeah.
As well, you even just in general, their classes is like, hey, we got some downtime at home. You want to work on something together? What are you working on? I'm working on this, vice versa. So good.
Yes. And also, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu isn't term time only. So any parents that have kids in clubs, usually after school, they are term time only. And then what do you do with them if you're still juggling work and various other things, there's a gap in time. But what I really love about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes, that it's all year round. There is no break. So in terms of building that consistency and the regular showing up to training, it's one of the best things that any parent can do, is to sign their kids up and start training themselves.
Oh yeah. Like, we look at that kind of like at our gym, we talk about the no gi season and the gi season, but even so, you're training year round regardless. There's no like, we don't look at this is one of those things where like there is no off season technically. You're training year round. From time to time, there are those that might take a break, maybe a week off, but nothing extensive. You got to let your body, if you got some, bangs and bruises, you got to recover a little bit. But yeah, this is a year round thing. And again, family involvement, you got something there.
Yeah.
So your rank right now, you are currently blue belt?
I am a
Or
blue belt. Yes,
yeah,
blue belts.
team blue belt
Enjoying
here.
the journey. Do you know what? There's always there was at the beginning fear around promotion and belts, and were we going to get a stripe this week or whenever. But now there's less. We've changed clubs a few times, and there's less reliance around needing external validation for our own performance. And that's one of the things that all of us as a family have been able to kind of let go. And whilst it's lovely to have new belts or new stripes or whatever, it's just about showing up and training. And that for me has been a really beautiful life lesson in terms of bringing in internally the validation for our own ability rather than relying on something external. So yeah, blue belt and loving it.
Okay. That blue belt's that belt where, everyone's always like, "Oh, blue belt, you got it. Like you're in, you're committed." But blue belt's also kind of the joke where everybody's like, "Oh, well, you're committed, but everybody quits at blue belt." It's like, which, oh no, we get a lot of folks that make it to purple, so obviously not everyone quits at blue.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I remember a week after getting my blue belt, I was involved with an invitational. So had my first blue belt match a week in. And I still very much felt like a white belt. You know what it's like, imposter syndrome that's completely made up. And you go, I'm not really good enough for this, but my kind of attitude, oh, I'll have a go. I did have a go. I put up a fair fight. I didn't win, but it was a fair fight, and I didn't get submitted.
Those small victories, like, hey, I didn't get submitted, so that counts for something, which I think it does. A week into blue belt, you go into a competition, it's like, oh, like, am I ready for this? Oh, you didn't get submitted, so I mean, you're on your way to ready for it. I mean, you know, they didn't catch you.
Not this time, and not next time.
Actually, that's how I felt today at Open Mat. It was like a gang of black belts, brown belt, a couple purple belts, like a handful of blue belts, and I'm pairing up with like the black belts and brown belts. I'm like, well, let's see, let's take some small victories from here. Well, he only submitted me 3 times, so we kept it out of double digits this time. So like that sweep. Well, that one didn't work. The other one worked, but that first one didn't work.
There's always so many wins, and I think certainly for me, it's actually getting to training is a win because there are so many obstacles. And I'm going to kind of reference the kids. It's like they get home from school, they're hungry, they're tired, there's homework to do. There are other potential priorities and so many barriers before we actually get in the car and drive to training. Because it's kind of a 30-mile round trip. So it's a challenge in itself. So every time we're in the car on the journey, we've got a soundtrack that we listen to, and just getting on the mats and going, we're here, is a win, regardless of anything.
Yeah, true. I mean, like someone asked me today, like after the first couple of rolls, like, how you feeling? I was like, I'm here.
Yep.
Like that's what matters. When you did that competition a week after getting promoted, even though, like you said, you didn't feel like you're quite ready, there's that imposter syndrome. When did the confidence like start to grow for you, along that path?
Never.
Well, I was gonna say, or did it ever grow?
Confidence. I've as you know, I speak with a lot of different individuals on the podcast, and I know we're going to get to that later, but actually there's a lot of mindset to develop in addition to the physical training of jiu-jitsu. And one of the things I've learned is to talk really kindly to myself and actually speak as if I'm already winning. And that's been the biggest shift. So I'm not saying my confidence is never grown, but sometimes it feels like that.
Oh, yeah. There are those days where some days you come out and you had a good training, good sessions, like, woo, I'm here. Then the next one is like, oh.
I do know that when I'm training and I have frustration, you can't nail that technique or the sequence, and I get frustrated with myself. And that's the point that I know I have growth and confidence, because I can go, I can't do this. It's so frustrating. But I know every time I overcome and keep drilling that technique or the sequence, then I get a little bit better. So yeah, the confidence grows when I have frustration.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I think, as you level up, just like within your rank, there is kind of like, it gets harder, but that's kind of the point. And as it gets harder, the confidence might waver a little bit, but when you accomplish something, it's like, oh, I did it. All right. Yeah. I belong. I should be at this table.
Yeah, I'm still not there yet.
Hey, look, man, I'm with you. I'm trying. Like I say to myself today, getting thrashed by black belts and brown belts, I'm like, man, I suck. It's like, but they're black belts and brown belts, but it's like, yeah, but still, like, you had this opening, you had that opening, but you said, we're on the mats, and that's what absolutely counts. It's better than not going because, oh, brown belts and black belts are going to be there today.
Yeah,
that's worse.
And that's one of the other things about the comparison, that we're not comparing ourselves to white belts, other blue belts, or brown belts, or purple belts, or black belts. We're just comparing ourselves with how we show up from the last time, if we remember.
Yeah. Well, I have the, I guess, fortunate schedule of going Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's like, oh, I very much remember Saturday very well. Like, if it didn't go well, it's like, that's haunting me on Sunday. It's like, ugh. Yeah. Those are all white belts thrashing me. Those were the kid competitors beat me. Like, and then you was like, oh, these are adults.
Yeah.
Great. But I mean, again, you take the journey as it is, and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, it's your thing. Yeah. So you can't look at someone across from you and say, oh man, they're already like, they're really good at like lasso de la Hiva. It's like, it's not my thing. Well, it's not your thing, okay? Or you're working on it. So
yeah,
don't worry about them.
Yeah.
Do you think that with like mentality on the mats, and I wonder this with, I guess, folks who don't train and like newer folks. And when I say newer, I guess like, inside of the first year or two, do you think people underestimate like the like mentality of training, like how mentally like draining it could be and stressful?
Well, I'm not sure about the mentally draining and stressful. I don't see it in that way. I think training jiu-jitsu is one of the things where you can't think. So if you're bringing stress and frustration, I mean, frustration that you can't do technique, but there's no space for it because you're moving your body. So I always kind of upsell the mindset benefit that I feel a lot calmer. There is just taking time to observe the situation and then to work out what my moves are from there. And like with anything, jiu-jitsu for me now is the learnings have played out in other areas of my life very conveniently.
That's fair. Fair. I like that, because like I always tell people, when I go in, I get lost in the reps.
Yeah.
When I'm having a tough day, it is important to go train, to just kind of get your mind off of it. So I do think when I'm away from, like when I'm on the mats, everything that's not involved with jiu-jitsu is out.
Yeah.
But then I think, at least in my case, when I'm out there is that kind of like paralysis by analysis, I guess. Like, so I think that I wonder about that, if others run into that, and And that's, as I brought the question, I was like, newer folks was like, well, I've been doing this for 11 years and I'm not new. And I'm still like, hey, is anybody else feeling this? No? Okay. It's just me. Okay. Talk to my therapist.
I think we can give ourselves a hard time and we can reflect on a negative way. And I think it sounds like maybe you're giving yourself a hard time. When you reach a certain age, you just don't give a stuff and it doesn't matter because there are other things in life. And when you look at the perspective of, maybe how much you train jiu-jitsu and how much benefit is from jiu-jitsu back into the rest of your life, that's where the bonus elements of training are coming from.
Uh-oh, looks like somebody else is going to get my therapy money. I told my therapist, guess who's not getting paid this week? You. Guess who is? Lou. No, but I definitely, I can see that. I like it a lot. I want to now kind of venture over into your podcasting world, because you have several podcasts.
I do.
7, 8?
I'm about to kind of strike up a new one, but that's under wraps for now. So I have my tech podcast, and then there are 7 at the moment jiu-jitsu podcasts. And my thinking around that, I'm kind of techie creative. So setting up my tech podcast was the difficult bit 5 or 6 years ago. And it's, rolling it out with a new topic feels like quite an easy task.
Okay. So, all right. So first off, with all of the podcasts, I guess, was the tech podcast the first? Was that what started for you?
Yeah, the tech podcast was first, and that was the hardest hurdle. Getting the right kit, finding the right production process, finding the right branding, and the right platforms to share the content on. And I was primarily just doing audio podcasts, but obviously we both hang out on Instagram. There's a lot of visual content, and it just wasn't hitting the audience. And I also wasn't necessarily networking in the tech space. So I'm a bit of a hybrid. I will do a bit of everything. And the creative and the tech, I'm still more creative and problem solving. And that doesn't always sit in the very finite realm that is technology in that sense. And whilst I can speak that language, it's quite a niche. And actually, I found that most of my life I've been trying to fit into a box that's not for me, but maybe there is no box for me. However, the podcasting box I'm absolutely loving. So the Jiu-Jitsu podcast came next, more with a kind of line of wanting to tell a story. I did a course back in 2023 about influence for storytelling, or storytelling for influence. And I was like, how can I weave something more creative, more of a narrative that people can follow along the way? And I'd started training jiu-jitsu a number of months or the previous year. And I thought, why not jiu-jitsu? It's not business, but maybe over time there can be some, benefit for business, or I can roll out this model that seems to be working. So I've just kind of showcased my work within a hobby that I enjoy and technology that I can manage.
Well, I mean, that's, how it goes though. Right. If it's something that you enjoy. I mean, and I know with jiu-jitsu that's one of the, running jokes. It's like, oh, you do jiu-jitsu. Well, everybody knows you do jiu-jitsu because you won't stop telling people you do jiu-jitsu. Like, you go to, office parties. Hey, so what do you do in your spare time? I'm glad you asked. So having the space, for the podcast and talking about it, I think, definitely serves a great purpose to it. And like with the Jiu-Jitsu Podcast, like when did that come about within the journey of podcasting for you? Like how long into training actually did you start podcasting on jiu-jitsu?
So that was probably a year into training jiu-jitsu that I paired the jiu-jitsu and the podcasting together. Yeah, so that it took some time because the obvious thing in front of me wasn't that obvious, clearly. So yeah.
All right. And when you're doing like the, I don't know why I keep wanting to say Lou-jitsu.
That might be an upgrade at some point. Jiu-Jitsu Lou Podcast.
Well, then I think when I initially made the notes for this episode, I wrote Lou Jiu-Jitsu, Lou-jitsu, and I was like, none of that's right. Like, let's go back and like actually do this correctly. But when you start doing the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast and sharing stories with it, within the community, what like coming in, you had that frame like right away, like this is what I want to do, like this is how we're going to present it, or
yes, I think so. So I'd upgraded from my tech with visual because Instagram needs visuals and audio and good quality at that. So I'm really pleased you're using a great platform to record on. Because it makes a difference. There is a lot of content out there where the audio sounds a bit in the background and the visuals aren't quite so clear. So the quality had to be there for me, but also the aim of the podcast was to showcase and highlight more people that don't yet have a voice in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, I speak with lots of different people, and they often feel like their story is not worthy to be heard. And actually, those are the people that I love interviewing because they've got one heck of a story that they don't even believe in themselves. So giving them that platform to share their journey in jiu-jitsu, it's a joy. And I learned so much. That's my off-mat training. So the more I'm doing, listening to people's stories on podcasts, I feel like it's my off-mat journey, as well as the physical and the mental well-being. It's the listening to other people's perspective in the sport of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that it's just so exciting.
Oh no, I agree. I just approached a teammate today, nice young man. I see him on the Sundays that I'm there. I'm not quite sure where he's from. He has an accent, so I went over to him immediately. Was like, hey, like if you got the time, you mind coming on and sharing your story? And I as we're joking, I was like, and by the way, I love your accent, so that's part of why I want you on, buddy, like because we got to do this. But I think those folks who feel like, hey, I don't really have an interesting story, it's like you'd be surprised. Like I think we don't think our stories are interesting because we're living the story. So we're just like, if a camera followed me around for the day, they'd be bored, but you'd be surprised. But then again, I think we need less of that, to be honest. There are too many people walking around with their phones like, look at me, I'm at a fountain. Like, yeah, so are other people. Like, we don't care. But there's got to be some content to that video. There's got to be story behind why you're at the fountain and stuff. And I think a lot of folks feel like they don't have the story to tell, but they'd be surprised.
They do. And I would encourage anyone to reach out and to BJJ Wiki and Off the Mats podcast. Get on the show, obviously, if you're invited, because that's an honor in itself. I'm all about, like, when you reached out to me, I was like, oh my stars, like, someone wants me as a guest, like that's awesome. Like, so I was really, really excited. I was looking forward to it. I was like hey, no, I don't want to schedule anything around this. No, I've got something to do. Like, I am going to be a guest somewhere. I'm important. Yes.
But also too, it's like, when you approached me, I was like, hey, I'm happy to do yours. Hey, if you want to come on and be a guest on mine, like let's do this dance. And because it's weird being on the other end sometimes.
Yes, it is. And I'm not invited on many podcasts at all. I keep myself to myself. I like the control of my own studio and my own space. And it does feel quite bizarre to be on the other side, even to the point where I think you were asking me some questions and I always get a little bit thrown by that. I'm go with the flow, but yeah, on the other side.
Oh yeah, trust me. When you were asking me questions, like I knew the answers, but I was like, wait, do I know that answer? Like, well, I should. I was there. She asked, wait, there's all this stuff going on in my head. I was like, dude, just say words.
Yeah.
Sometimes that gets me in trouble though. Like as my wife says to me sometimes, you really need to think before you start talking. Oh, okay. Good call.
I think that's a condition of all of us, but you give us a mic, then it's free. It's free for all.
Oh yeah. I mean, there have been guests where I'm like, oh boy, you were waiting for this opportunity. Like, we're gonna have to edit that. But then there are a lot of awesome guests that come on, and again, they say, hey, I don't think my story is very compelling, and then by the end of it, it's like you're blown away because you're like, what do you mean? That's like what brought you into the sport, like stuff that you've overcome in the sport, and where you are now. Like, that is fantastic, and a lot of times it's inspiring to others. So that's always the goal here, I think.
Absolutely.
On your podcast, like, have you? Well, I guess this is kind of a weird question because I know you have. Like, it's weird to ask the question to another podcaster because, we know what we've been through. We know we've heard the stories, but do you feel like as you're hearing different stories and different journeys, do you feel like you're pulling, I guess, lessons from it as well that pertains to yourself?
Yeah, massively. And I think it's just about hearing other people that are like you or not like you and going, yeah, I connect with that piece of that story, or I can kind of connect with a piece of another story. And I think that's the joy, that our stories won't ever 100% resonate with anybody else. So that's where the diversity and the flow of conversations, if there's maybe 3 or 4 seconds, I think that's the attention span of most people on, Reels and TikTok and all the rest of it. If there's a small part of your story that can resonate with somebody else and sit with them and inspire them or allow them to reflect on their own journey, it's a good thing. So more content, the better.
Yeah, I agree. I think the more content that's relevant. Sometimes there's some content where it's like, I don't know how my algorithm gets how it is. Sometimes I'm just like, why am I seeing this? Like, there's no need for that content, but somebody felt as though I needed to see it. Instagram, Meta, whoever it is.
Yeah.
In the beginning, when you set up, the podcast and everything, like, your prep going into it, I guess I'm wondering, like, did you plan it, like, have it all planned out, like, all right, we're going to launch with this step, we're going to go to this step, and then we're going to go to this step, or was it kind of I've got my first 2 steps and we're going to figure it out, from there and kind of build further along the way?
Okay. So from concept of idea, let's have a jiu-jitsu podcast, let's call it this name. I'd recorded 3 episodes and created all the format, the setup, the color scheme, the lighting, the tech, all within the space of 2 weeks, because I just felt like this is the idea. Let's just go with it. And then from there on, it's just been a go with the flow. If there are incremental improvements, which I'm always looking for, whether it's framing, whether it's lighting, or whether it's, how I write the show notes, or the guests or the topics, it's all completely free flow. So from that first kind of 2-week sprint, I'm going to do this, just get it live, which is why I find it so easy to launch a new podcast in the space of like 3 hours now. from branding, concept branding, first couple of topics, first episode recorded, let's go live, done.
No, that I think after you get to that first one, then any other podcast that come along is just business as usual. Yeah. So I think when I did Off the Mats initially, I went to Instagram, and I think I did like in the stories, I told everybody, give me some ideals, give me name ideals.
Yeah.
And everybody sent them in. I did like a tournament bracket. I put them all in, said vote.
Yeah.
And then each week, so I want to say it was like maybe 3 weeks at least getting the name.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks to get the name. And the person who, I think she gave 3 different names. She had her 3 names are in the final 4. I was like, well, I'm pretty sure
she's to hire her for marketing.
Well, and that was the thing. After that, I told her, I was like, hey, you won. Like, so I was like, I got you on a t-shirt, once, I'm not very like visually creative. Like, I don't know if you can see the logo there. It's just black and white, a microphone and the words. It's like, there's like, I don't even know what the font is, but I told her, like, hey, t-shirt, you want to be a guest? And she was like, no, I'm good. And just disappeared. She was just like, so I was like, all right, cool. But thanks for the name. Like, cause I enjoyed the name, but it's in the beginning, I think it can be intimidating a little bit, just the idea, because you hope that your message gets across, hope people pick up. But like once it started really picking up though, and like ears started tapping into it, like what was that like for you? Were you like, yes, I got this now, let's shoot bigger, let's get like this.
See, I've never had that experience, so it's like showing up for training. It's just something I do. So I keep an eye on kind of stats and things, and I'm kind of hitting around 5 million accounts every month at the moment, and it's just well, it just is. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is.
I mean, and sometimes that's all it takes is what to just be. Well, that's how my horror podcast is right now. It's just like some weeks they see a movie, we like that movie, and people tune in. And then some weeks are like, you're like, oh, I guess that one didn't hit. Okay.
Yeah, I'm never really worried about whether it kind of hits or not. And sometimes the most embarrassing kind of clips, because I fill up my socials with a little bit of my story in between everybody else's story, and it's always the most kind of cringy, I don't really want to ask for this, and then that's the one that gets most engagement, but you just keep showing up, keep pushing out the content, because I'm reflecting on the story and the genuine connection that I have with all my guests, and go, I love hearing their stories, to the point where I'll add to my own, listener numbers by listening back to each episode meticulously and going, oh, I love that bit.
Yeah, I go back and I take notes, especially when I have teammates on. Oh, I'm asking all the questions, because I'm like, okay, hey, so how do you do this? Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I like that. Okay. And well, like, how do you handle this? And I go back and listen to it, write down all the notes. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get them. Like, I've learned. But that's I get questions from family all the time. Like, hey, are you making any money from this? Like, no, I'm just doing it. I just want to talk to people. Like, I also think at least for me, once money gets involved, it gets weird. It starts to become this thing of I have to do it a certain way, or you start tracking numbers a certain way. Oh my God, I'm down $30 from last month. What did I do wrong? It's like, I don't want to look at it that way. Like, I do look at the numbers in terms of like the first week of the episode goes out. How did it look the first week? And just kind of like, okay, that resonated with quite a few people there. And then there are stories that may not, and a lot of stories that don't really resonate is when like I have people on to talk about comic books, because it's a jiu-jitsu podcast. I'm like, hey, we do a segment called Off the Mats Nerdcast,
Nice.
And it's like, okay, so I guess you guys didn't really care about the Fantastic Four movie. Well, I did. And I wanted to talk to someone. So I had my buddy join. And it's usually the same person each time we do that anyway. So it's not like I grab a grappler like, hey, you want to talk about Daredevil? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, no, like a dedicated person for the Nerdcast, but like with a lot of the other stories that we have out there, everyone finds some connection. I think that's the point.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask you though some rapid fire questions before we wrap up here and let you get onto your evening there. And the rapid fire questions went away for a little while. I don't know why. I think there's just some episodes where I just felt like, hey man, we got to talk about this thing. I think we had some very special, like the old TV shows back in like the 80s, a very special episode where it's like, hey, we got to talk about a serious topic here. There's no room for rapid fires. Like, so now we're back to kind of bringing it back down a little bit, and we're going to do some rapid fires here. And I want to ask you just right out the gates for you, gi or no gi?
Gi. I love the gi. Yeah, that's it.
Like, we're getting it back. I had a lot of people going no gi, and I was like, hey, you're not welcome back on the show. Like, this is a gi jiu-jitsu show. All right. Do you have a preference on morning training or evening training? I guess when I say morning, I also mean like early afternoon too.
Okay. It's only evening training, jiu-jitsu, but I've recently started doing some boxing and strength and conditioning. And in my early years, sorry, this is going off that not so rapid, but I'm giving you a bit more. In my very active teenage 20-somethings, I used to be at the gym at 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning training. And I would also train at lunchtime. And I'm going, actually, that's the frequency that, athletes train at. And I was just working in an office and doing that. But there we go. So yeah, I've now started training boxing and strength and conditioning at 6 o'clock every morning. So that and the evening or the mornings are nice and light, but I'm always training jiu-jitsu in the evening. That's me.
That's you folks who do 6 a.m. anything. Y'all are a different breed. Because 6 a.m. I'm looking at my alarm. And I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, it's a choice. It's a choice.
That's true. That's true.
I'm a convert because of all the 6 a.m. classes that I keep seeing posted. So the influence has influenced.
It's doing its job. Are you a drill person or let's just roll?
Oh, let's just roll.
Hey, it happens. The moves are going to pop up in those rolls. If you're just doing it organized and just drilling it, it looks pretty then. But when it's time for that live action, does it work? Because guess what? My De La Riva lasso didn't. And I got smashed. Compete or just train?
I like competing. I get really, really scared, really nervous, a bunch of adrenaline dumps throughout a match to the point where I don't really know where I am. But I feel like I'm alive because the feeling is different from an everyday training session.
Good. What's your favorite position right now?
Butterfly guard.
Nice. And what's your least favorite position?
Being caught in an armbar from the bottom.
Ooh, yikes. Okay. So no fear of wrist locks?
No. See, I'm pretending to be flexible. So no, the wrists are hidden.
Okay. Hey, I'm just saying. Like you folks who don't fear the wrist lock, you're a different breed. You're trained at 6 a.m. You don't fear wrist locks. Hey, you were built different.
All right, I'm happy to be in that built different pot.
Yes, it is nice to be different though. All right, I got a couple would you rather. I'm gonna do two of them here.
All right.
Would you rather have perfect technique with no strength or strength with flawed technique?
Strength and flawed technique. I'm all for it.
It's like, oh, you're a bully too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, only if people listen to the end of an episode will they really get to know who I am.
let me make sure, like when I make a trip over, it's like, oh, we cross paths. I was like, okay, no. She not scared of wrist locks. She was training this morning, I bet, and she's a bully. Nope, I'm gonna keep my distance. All right, and then our second, would you rather be known for your jiu-jitsu or known for your mindset?
Ooh. Okay, I'm training jiu-jitsu. I want to be known for my jiu-jitsu because it's rubbish at the moment and I need to up my game. So I'd rather be known for my good jiu-jitsu.
Hey, this is a jiu-jitsu podcast. That's the only answer that we should have here. This is not a mindset podcast, people. Jiu-jitsu, okay? Jiu-jitsu. When I have a mindset coach on here, and then if they say jiu-jitsu, and I'm just like, look, jiu-jitsu wins, Joe. Mindset's trash. I know I'm going to get cooked for that one. Terrible podcast. All right. Well, Lou, I think we can go ahead and wrap up there. And I want to say thank you very much again for sharing your time with me today. And again, I do apologize. I was positive that I had the time set for a different time. And then I looked and I was like, oh, she's probably waiting. Cool. So,
do you know what? I postponed you for half an hour, so we're quits now.
Fair enough. Thank you very much for your understanding with me, and also sharing your time and having me as a guest as well.
Yeah.
Before we get out of here, do you have any shout outs or mentions you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
Just go and listen to the Jiu-Jitsu Lou podcast. Go and subscribe on YouTube because I'm still not at that monetization threshold. Go and subscribe. Jiu-Jitsu Lou on YouTube.
Hey, I got you. I think I got seven accounts, so I'm gonna get you at least 7 of them. Like at least.
Okay, good.
I'll be sure to also put the links in the notes and everything so people can reach out and find you.
Good stuff. And I'm always looking for guests, as are you.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, don't think that this is the only time we're gonna do this, Lou. Like,
okay.
I'm gonna shoot you another message. Hey, like we're gonna find something. It's like, all right, now that we got that introduction, let's go in and cut loose. And people are gonna be like, oh, okay, we see what's going on here. They got the introduction, now they being silly. It's like this wasn't silly enough. So
yeah, we can scale it up. It's fine. All strength and all jiu-jitsu.
Oh, let's do it. We're gonna have the bully podcast, the bully episode. Like, do you just like punch choke people for fun? Like, yeah, maybe.
Yes.
I was not prepared for that one. I shouldn't even said it.
You're cool.
Yeah. That tends to be it. Like as soon as I say something, then I get the response like, "Oh, I messed up." All right, but all right. Cool. And as always, to you guys, the listeners, thank you. If y'all have any questions or concerns or criticisms, please feel free to reach out. You can always find me at bjj.wiki on Instagram or Off the Mats Podcast as well on Instagram. I'd like to shout out my crew over there at Nerd Rage Radio. Bobby, Chris, Joe, Marilyn, Phil, Ricky, all the guys. There's a lot of names, but Bobby, Chris, and Joe are the main core. So thank you to Nerd Rage Radio. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't be doing a podcast. So I always want to, shout them out and share the love. They reached out recently to have me back over. Schedules just don't work out the way that we're hoping, but I got to get back on there. We got a big party coming up with them in a month or so. So usually when that happens, the podcast room is open and I tend to just sit at the table and I don't leave, even in the middle of like some like episodes I shouldn't be on. Like, there's like a husband and wife as guests and I just sat there. They didn't realize I was there. Well, I was there, but they're like telling a story and I just chimed in Like, that sounds really weird. Can you elaborate? It's like, oh my God. It's like, what? So I'll be back over there soon. But shout out to those guys and thank you. I also want to shout out my other podcast. So you like horror? If you're into scary movies, go check it out. We just recently dropped the Twilight Zone episode as we're doing the theme of horror television. So we're talking about throughout the year different television shows in the horror genre. And we are actually this afternoon, my wife and I are going to also record our next episode where we're talking about the movie from 1995, Seven. I know some people like to say, hey, that's not a horror movie. Go watch it. Like, tell me it's not terrifying that somebody is using the 7 deadly sins to terrorize New York City. And also, I'm actually, before we start that episode and kick it off, I'm going to actually read out the definition of horror because people like to argue with me on that one all the time. So, but that's going to be coming up at the end of the week. So, if you're into scary movies, go check it out. So you like horror. Find us on Instagram, all the words separated by underscores. And the podcast is anywhere that, wherever you listen to this, it's there. So go check it out. And last but not least, again, big shout out and thank you to my guest here, Lou Temlett. Thank you again for your time. Thank you for sharing your stories and your journey. And we're going to do this again. We're going to talk some bully stuff. Like I want to dig into that.
Got it.
And again, to you all the listeners, thank you again so much. We love you guys. Y'all know what it is. You all keep listening, and we're going to definitely keep making these shows. Thank you, everyone, and goodbye.
They were with it. Now let me sing a song.